BaconBit.
Ooh, a snap.
Where'd Kent go?
Kent's gone. He's dusted.
Kent, quit trying to hug me as you disappear.
Do you like how I said, where'd Kent go?
Yeah.
Where did Kent go?
There is
It's
no
always
Kent.
about you, isn't
Only
it?
Zool.
It really is.
He's like, is someone going to say it? No? I'm going to have to? Okay.
Do you not think I'm going to haunt you guys when I turn into dust? Because I am.
No, I don't think so.
I'll try.
Dust doesn't get ghosts.
Yeah, no.
It will leave a faint smell. I will linger. I'll say that much.
So it's basically like usual.
This is our review of Avengers Endgame. And
Yes,
the
it is.
first part of this is going to be spoiler free. So even if you haven't seen the movie, you can listen to the first part and at least get our opinions on it.
More than most movies, people are really worried about spoilers on this one.
I saw a meme today that said, like, the moment you realize that you can't watch Avengers Endgame because it features spoilers for Avengers Endgame. And I was like, that seems to be the case right
It's
now.
so true. Like, I'm actually happy this movie's out now because the hype and everyone's so worried about the movie coming out has been going so long.
Yeah.
That now we can just move forward. Because when a movie like Lion King comes out, people are like, oh yeah, it's Lion King.
We know it. We're not gonna, no spoilers are worried about there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not even going to get into Wolverine's appearance here in the opening section, and we're not going to talk about
You are a monster.
Batman dying. Like,
Yeah.
it's all easy, spoiler free here.
I did not expect Phoenix to kill Thanos. But
I know. The
that's how
crossover
it goes.
was
It's weird to have
amazing.
to recast her again.
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
right? I like the new one, though.
Yeah. But, all right, gentlemen.
We're not going to spoil it and say who it was.
I think the bulk of our conversation, however, is going to be in the spoiler full section.
Yeah, I would agree.
So we probably just need to jump into this.
Okay, so everyone saw Avengers Infinity War last year.
Or so I thought.
No one's even going to listen to this first part.
You're
so they
right.
watched
We
it.
were talking to a few people at work, and they're like, "Hey, how's the movie?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll tell you about it. Are you pretty excited?" They're like, "Well, I'm going to see it. Do I need to see Infinity War beforehand?"
What? They said that.
Yeah.
And we were like,
A
what?
few
Do you
people-
need to see the first part of a two-part movie?
And I was like, wait. How many movies of the 22 movies have you seen? And they're like, I don't know, 4 maybe. I was like,
Yeah, this isn't for
maybe
you.
don't watch it.
This isn't for you.
Yeah, don't even bother. Like, it's not going to make any sense.
Yeah.
But if they haven't seen it, if they have been living under a rock,
Spoiler alert for a movie that came out last year. There was a big catastrophe.
Wait, you're talking about Infinity War?
Infinity War.
Yes.
A big catastrophe that affected many of the Avengers. But here we have the existing Avengers. I think that's spoiler free enough.
yes.
Well, that's Infinity War.
Yes,
Yeah.
the existing Avengers that try to make the wrongs right. And the grand villain here is Thanos, and they're trying to go through several ways to reverse everything that happened at the end of the last movie.
That sounds good.
How's that?
That
I mean,
sounds
that's
good.
very vague,
Yeah,
but
it's very vague, but it's what we need to do because otherwise people will freak out and push pause on their
I would
play
also
right now.
I would also say if you want to catch up, I think the most important movies to watch would be Winter Soldier, Civil War, and of course Infinity War. Right?
yeah, I mean,
You see, those are the
problem
ones
is-
that'll bring
the
you up
problem
to
is-
speed.
I would say watch Iron Man 1. Okay. And then
I know. Here's the thing.
strangely
They've already
the
seen
second
that.
Thor movie.
We're assuming that
Yeah.
that is strange.
But here's the
That
thing:
was
is
referenced.
I feel like the more essential ones would be ones like you start with Age of Ultron. That seems to be one that almost all these other movies have hinged on because of what happened in Age of Ultron.
What?
I don't understand.
Yeah, I'll get into it later.
'Kay.
But they reference it a number of times in this movie, and they also reference a lot of other movies in the franchise.
Is it too spoilery to say that they're trying to give reference to movies that didn't really matter in the first place?
It kind of felt like that they kind of wanted to make movies lesser
Okay.
Marvel movies.
We got to save this. We
Yeah,
We
I think
absolutely
so
need
too.
to save it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So who wants to go first? Jake, you just barely saw this movie. Like literally walked in
Literally.
the door from a 3-hour, actually 2-hour and 48 movie because you left before the credits.
Because there's nothing after the credits.
Right.
Not a spoiler. There is nothing after credits. You can leave as soon as the credits
There
roll.
was me and like one other guy who got up from his seat, and that
And
was
everyone's
it.
giving you scuzz looks.
Yeah,
as you're
everyone's
walking
like,
out.
"What are you doing?" I'm like walking over people, and I'm like, "Sorry, hey, by the way, there's no stingers."
Yeah, everyone's like, you're going to see a giant ant playing the drums.
Have you seen a Marvel movie before, sir? I don't think so.
There is technically
He's
an
going to
audio
miss out on the
stinger, though.
shawarma scene part 2.
Oh, there's the audio stinger. It's not really
Yeah.
anything.
Well, that's what I read about it, and I was like, "That is not worth waiting to the end."
I
Two
sat there going.
clanks of
Well, I sat there
metal or
going.
whatever.
Is that a stinger or is that just music at this point?
Yes.
But Jacob, why don't you go first? It's
last
fresh
for
in your
sure?
mind.
Last
You want to go last?
for sure.
Okay.
give me a second.
Jake wants to go
process.
last.
He wants to go last. You want to know why he goes last?
Why?
Because no matter what positions we'll take, he'll take the opposite.
Oh, I like that.
That's what Jacob does.
This is
That is
bacon
not-
cell after
Jacob
all.
doesn't have his own opinion. He has to base his opinion based off our opinion.
I don't know
Dirty
about that.
bird.
Watch for it. Watch for it.
Which is totally off.
Watch for it.
All right, Joel,
You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Oh, no, it sounds like you want to go first. Go for it. We've talked about this too much. You go.
I'll go. So I am the one, if you haven't listened to Bacon Cell before, you have to realize that I am the one who is the most balanced of the three.
I would
That's
say
not true at
most consistently positive towards fast food.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you love
Yes.
fast food.
Well, that's Ken and I had a whole discussion about this before, about how it's okay to like Marvel movies because it's okay to like fast food. Like
like
sometimes
Burger King.
you're just in the mood for fast food. You don't want gourmet, you want fast food, and it's still good because it satisfies what you want.
Yes.
So this movie is the culmination of the past 10 years, 11 years of Marvel movies. It's the 22nd film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the Infinity Saga, as they're calling it.
Yes.
And so I've mentioned it before with a couple others like Civil War, like Avengers, like Infinity War, about how I'm always impressed how they're able to take all these pieces and fit them together in a cohesive story that doesn't feel cluttered. It just feels like, I don't know, it works well. It's a well-oiled machine at this point. They know
Okay.
what they're doing.
Sure.
This was directed by the Russo brothers.
They did Winter Soldier, Captain America Civil War, and Infinity War.
Yeah, so they've done a lot of the ones that I do enjoy already. So I had some high hopes going into this one.
Okay.
Also, I'm a sucker for finales. Like, even if I haven't seen the TV show, I'm always interested to see the series finale to be like, how does it all end?
Yeah, but generally TV, they kind of bomb the ending.
A lot of times they do, but even then, I'm still fascinated.
Joel,
by
this
it.
is a lot of preface. Do you need me to give my opinion first so you can know where to go from here? Because I'm not sure you have an opinion that you're
I
going
have
to
an
get
opinion,
to.
Jacob.
You guys should go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So I went to this movie with Kent, and we were watching it, and I knew that I had to maintain a certain level of stoicism so that he didn't know how I felt about this movie.
I told you, I'm like, just react. It's fine.
I know we actually had to see it the city way. Do you have an idea of what I think about this movie?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Am I going to tell you?
Yeah, tell me what you think.
One of your favorites. This is probably top 5 or 6 for you. You thought they ended it like really well. You thought they closed plot lines and character arcs in the best way possible. Granted, it may have gone a little bit too long at the end, but you felt like it did justice for the main characters that we truly care about.
So close.
Okay.
I love this movie.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I loved this movie.
Okay.
This to me was like it was a well-made and well-deserved victory lap for Marvel. Like, they are literally running around the track showing some of their greatest hits in, movie form, obviously.
Sure.
High-fiving, and I was like, I'm totally on board with this. This is great.
So this is now, that's what they call Avengers Volume 37.
is the victory lap?
Victory
Yeah,
lap?
this is like the
Yeah.
greatest hits. This is all the
Avengers
radio
Victory
songs.
lap.
But
Yes.
I feel like this tied in stories from the previous storylines. It gave some films a little more weight because before they were just throwaway. Now it's like, no, it actually does matter. And I enjoyed that. And also, and this isn't a spoiler, it's just something people know about the movie, you say goodbye to some characters that you've grown to love. And it was emotional for me. Like, Kent, you don't know this, I got emotional
Yes.
a number of times in this movie.
I called it.
And I had to sit there. So I'm sitting next to Kent.
I actually kept watching him. I'm
Trying
like,
not to cry.
I'm like,
I'm
I
try-
bet he gets a little weepy-eyed.
I'm trying not to cry, and I'm start my I never would have like full on bawled at this movie, but I was fighting back tears, like trying to just pull them back up my eyes, and then my nose started to run as it does when you cry, and I knew that if I sniffed, that Kent would hear it and know I was crying. So
I was hyper aware of
So
what
I did
Joel
this.
was
This is
doing.
what I did. Like a deep breath in my nose because I couldn't do the quick little sniff because I was like, I just need to not cry, and I had to wipe away tears a couple times.
That's
and I was
adorable. I can't
He
wait to
would've
hear
caught
what
that.
parts you were wiping tears
and
away
then
at.
I laughed a couple times. I was totally on board with this movie, and I really enjoyed it. Now, that being said,
the whole time?
almost the entire time, yes. Now, that being said, I acknowledge there are some faults. I acknowledge there's some things that didn't work, but this was such a well done finale for the franchise. Not the franchise, because obviously they're going to keep making movies.
Yeah.
But if they never made another Marvel movie,
Wouldn't it
I'd
be
be like,
so
this is
nice
great.
if this were the closer for like
This
5
would be
years?
great.
Yeah.
Because this one really
Instead
hit,
of like 3 months.
this hit the right
Exactly,
notes. I felt like the story was interesting enough. It caught me by surprise a number of times where I was like, because okay, you guys know I only watched one trailer. That was it. So there's a ton of stuff that I was like, would I have been surprised by that had I watched more trailers? But it caught me off guard. It kept me guessing. It didn't feel like 3 hours to me. I really love this. So I'm giving this probably, I'm debating between 4 and 4.5 stars.
Wow.
Like,
Going straight to the 4.5.
because it's not. I don't think this is ever going to be a 5-star movie because it's a 3-hour movie that requires other movies to watch. Like,
Sure.
it can't just stand on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy giving this one a 4.5 because 4.5 out of 5 because I feel like it was well deserved and it hit the right notes for me.
Okay. All right. So what did I think about this, you guys?
What did you think?
I think that Kent actually liked this one only because it's a little darker and a little more serious in tone. a little more DC, I might say.
Honestly, you guys said that I'm the one that's unpredictable. I think it's Kent that's often unpredictable.
Really?
With these Marvel
With
movies.
Marvel movies?
Yeah, no, and it's this subtle line, but sometimes you really surprise me. Like, and this is a teaser at this point, but I've seen your Marvel ranking, my friend. I've seen that ranking.
Yeah.
And you really surprised me. And so
You and I actually agree a lot.
we do.
Well,
Yeah.
no, Jacob just follows your opinion.
No,
that's
please.
how Bacon Cell
Oh my
works.
gosh.
That's how Bacon Cell
Thanks,
works.
Jake.
I understand.
I can't help it if he's right a
But
lot.
I'm imagining that Kent's going to say that this is one of the best Marvel movies, which is like saying this is one of the best McDonald's hamburgers. That's Kent's opinion.
This is one of the best McDonald's hamburgers.
I knew it.
Straight up. It just is. I like this movie because it's darker. It's a little more serious. It's a little more like a DC movie, to be honest with you.
It sounds so familiar.
Yeah,
Ken,
exactly.
I have a question for
Yes.
you. No spoilers. Do you like the first 30 minutes best or the last 30 minutes?
I like the first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, and then I kind of hated the last 10 minutes.
What?
Yeah, I really did.
Oh, no, that was great.
So here's the thing. For me, it took a long time to get there.
What, 3 hours, would you
This
say?
was the Russo brothers going, okay, we want to make sure the internet can't prove us wrong, so we need to explain everything. You know how we're going to do that? Robert Downey Jr. is going to speak really fast about fuzzy science. We're going to mention certain things. I was about to give away a spoiler.
Right.
We're going to mention science from previous movies. And it's really dumb, but we're saying it so fast that people will be distracted.
But that's how comic books need to be.
Yeah, that's how it always
I don't
goes.
need a long, drawn out description of the science. I just
Okay.
need to know we have this
But
technology.
Joel, here's
Moving
the thing.
on.
We got the long drawn out description of silly science. It didn't need to be 3 hours straight up. It could have
It
been
needed to be.
No. It needed to be 2.5 hours. But I will say, when it finally gets to that grand finale, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. This is what people have been waiting for, and this is wish fulfillment for all fans. And honestly, I was quite pleased. I will say, I can't really let some plot holes go. Certain characters didn't need to be there. For example, Mark Ruffalo, I'm just going to say actors, and Don Cheadle were two of the worst parts of the whole movie.
You think so?
Anytime they spoke, I was like, oh, really? Another joke by Don Cheadle? I wish he would have died in Civil War.
Ouch.
I hated him. I like
No,
this movie
he is
because
pretty flat. He's really flat.
comedy was
I don't know
not,
why you didn't like Mark Ruffalo, though.
Oh, I didn't think the character worked.
You didn't like that, huh?
And I'll talk about it in
We'll get into
spoilers.
it. We'll get into it.
I'm
But
surprised
I-
you're not bringing up a haircut.
Oh, yeah, there's a certain haircut as well. But as far as performances go, this is Robert Downey Jr.'s best work the whole series. He's been sleepwalking for 7 movies now, and he finally nailed it. Scarlett Johansson did great. Jeremy Renner was fantastic. So for those technical reasons, because I will say the movie, the Russo brothers, they're cool. They know what fans want, but they still film it like a TV show. But they know what fans want. And so I'm giving this one a positive, and it sounds negative, but a positive B-. One of the best McDonald's hamburgers. I gotta leave it there.
B minus.
That's getting
You can't
gushing.
even give it a solid B.
I can't, because I was watching and I go, no, that took it down. Oh, I really like it, but no, I can't, because
But is
that
a
took
B
it down
minus
as
one of
well.
your highest rated Marvel movies?
Yes,
My
it is.
gosh.
I think Avengers had an A minus.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Didn't you give Civil War an A minus or a B plus?
No, that was a B back in the day, and it went down after that. So, yeah. So Jake,
Once everyone else watched it and
Jacob?
liked it.
so this is good. So we have like an A minus ish,
Yeah.
B minus. Now, Jake, your turn.
I'm going to be right in the middle.
Okay,
Yeah,
here we go.
it's B plus has been the one that's popped in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch this again.
Yeah.
Kind of like Joel does. You need a second viewing. Plus, I had an awkward angle. I'm in the third row, looking up to my left, and I have a crick in my neck right now.
We should clarify that I was able to go to I had to take a day off of work, but I was able to go
Yes.
to the critic screening, and poor Jacob had to go see it by himself in the front row.
like
with,
a commoner.
with the slack-jawed yokels that
Indeed.
Ken would call him.
There was so much cheering in my audience. Were the critic one like that?
No.
It was really quiet, actually.
so-
Oh, really?
And generally, they're, as you know,
Yeah.
they're the slack jaws.
I know they're annoying.
But the critics,
Yeah.
I was going to say, the critics, it was scattered in the theater. There weren't that many people, so it was kind of weird reactions because when people would applaud, it was
a
like
bunch of
this-
open seats is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, totally.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, oh,
That's
that's
awesome
not
to
cool.
hear. Yeah.
Hey, not our fault.
We didn't control how many plus ones they got.
Uh-huh.
But I did kind of go, why didn't they open this up to the public?
Yeah, it was a little weird.
So I think you guys have said most of what needs to be said for the spoiler free. So I'll keep this pretty brief. Is the B plus? This movie, Joel, you couldn't have said it better with Victory Lap. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like there was a part like 45 minutes in, an hour in, and I'm like, holy cow, they're just running around high-fiving themselves right now.
Totally.
And,
But I was totally on board. Like, yeah, get me too.
But you know what? You were right. It annoyed me during the movie, and then just now you were like, they earned it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't disagree with that. Like, this is incredible. The 22nd movie in a franchise, that's ridiculous.
Well, and think of how many cast members they had. Think of how many storylines they had to pull in.
Now that part, the Victory Lap part, is actually what weakened the movie the most. But then that's when we get into more spoilers. But this is
just
strong
know
fulfillment.
it is Return of the King by the end of the movie.
There's
20 minutes of closure.
Everyone kind of gets an ending, but I think that's kind of what they want, is you want everyone to get their ending. Some endings I could have done without.
Totally.
But I was like, you know what? And some endings I would have flipped the order a bit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in the spoiler.
For better moments and whatnot.
Version, but
yes.
Yeah, like burying the cat for like a good 10 minutes. That was weird.
The
right?
Flarkin? The Flarkin, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're not talking about deaths on this show.
People are going to think that's real now.
I know.
The cat doesn't die.
Wait, that's a spoiler too. Don't say anything.
There's no cat. Okay, so
There is no cat.
time for spoilers?
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun,
Thanos demands that we spoil the movie.
Dun,
Spoiling,
dun,
spoiling.
dun.
Spoiling. 60 minutes in.
Is it a Star Wars theme?
Yeah, it was. It became the Imperial March.
How did that happen?
It just does, because it's not very memorable.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. A couple things I want to jump out right at the bat.
Yes.
So things like when they say, okay, we're going to go get Thanos, and right at the beginning, and then they go and get Thanos right at the beginning, and then they go and kill Thanos right at the beginning.
Yeah, I immediately was like, oh, this is going to go to some interesting places, I think.
I didn't know that. And
Like, who's the villain now? Okay.
what are they going to do? Just have to go track down the stones without Thanos?
And I had heard, thanks to kids and the internet, but like time travel is going to be a part of it.
I think we all knew time travel was going to be a part of it.
And
It had to be.
Captain and Iron Man were probably going to be ending at
So
this.
I wonder if that was meant to be a greater first act, but then they're like, oh my gosh, we have to explain the whole time travel crap. Like, that's going to take a lot of time. So let's just hurry and get into it. Captain Marvel, she's already part of the team. She's already getting Tony Stark.
Yeah,
like, we just need to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
So at the end of Captain Marvel, they gave the stinger was her meeting the Avengers. You don't see that at all in Endgame. All of a sudden, she's just there, and they're like, "Oh, hello again." And it's like, "Oh, did they meet?" If they didn't see the Captain Marvel,
I thought they would tie in the stinger.
Jake,
for
I have a
Captain
question
Marvel.
because it's been a few days, but
Okay.
how long was Tony Stark in space on that ship?
oh yeah, you just saw it. So we have some questions.
Yeah, like, was it, because I remember him saying 2 days,
No.
because two characters said 2 days.
It was 2 days since they ran out of water.
Oh, okay.
And
see,
and
that
so
makes sense.
they
But-
had been rationed on food. He ran out of water 2 days ago, and he said sometime in the morning they're running out of oxygen.
But Big Bang Theory, Hulk said it's been actually Mark Ruffalo said it's been 2 days since Thanos did the snap. That's why I was so
I don't remember
confused.
that.
I do remember that.
And so I was like, wait, Robert Downey Jr. is emaciated at this point.
Yeah, he is. That is
So I want to know
Yeah.
there.
Maybe time's different on Titan than it is on Earth. Different
space.
planets,
Space.
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 I don't think they went that deep.
You know what though? I think wasn't it when Captain Marvel left? It had been a while later.
I don't know.
It's never really explained.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that.
Okay, yeah.
We'll have to figure that out later.
But cutting off the head, for example, this is one of the reasons I don't like watching trailers, because even in the trailer I saw, I knew that Thanos appeared wearing a helmet. And so when he got his head chopped off, I'm like, well, he's going to be back.
Right.
Like there's no,
Yeah.
it's like, but then it's not a question of if, it's a question of how.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked how they did it, honestly, how they had
They kind of took him out of the story entirely. They took away that threat.
But then they brought
up until
him back.
they didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when they brought him back, he came back hard. It was like, okay, no, Thanos is in this to win again.
Which is another question. Maybe we'll just move to that right now since we're right here. Jacob, we need you to remember this. Ken and I have been debating about it.
Okay.
So the whole point is that they have, I want to explain this for people that listen but don't care about the spoilers. They have PIM particles, which allow Ant-Man to grow and shrink.
PIM, P-Y-M.
PYM particles. And they only have a limited number of those because Hank Pym was dusted. He no longer exists.
Right.
So they have a limited number, which means they can only do a limited number of trips because they need to shrink down in order to time travel.
Right.
With me so far?
Yep.
Good. So, wow, this gets complicated very quickly because while they're in the past, Nebula, the character Nebula, encounters her other self.
Right. And she has one vial
And she
with
has
her.
one vial with her.
Yeah.
Then Nebula comes back to the bad Nebula comes back to our time.
Yep, using that thing.
Using that thing. But then how does she get Thanos to come back? How does Thanos' ship come back?
How does it fly to the quantum realm?
I don't know. She pushed some buttons.
Here, okay.
I mean, seriously, she goes to the big machine and she pushes the buttons.
it or something.
Oh, no. They did explain this, actually. They did.
Oh, yes. Okay, good.
Captain... no, who was it that stole the extra vials from Hank Pym in the past? Was that Captain America?
Yeah, but it never came back.
He did come back. He grabbed those, and then...
He grabbed like 4 of them.
And then when... oh gosh, I'm spacing on her name.
Nebula.
When Nebula is back, she goes rifling through the storage units. So she's rifling through the storage units.
But okay, so I understood that they grabbed extras from the 70s, Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah.
But what technology is back in Thanos' time that allows them
So
to
just to explain what
teleport?
he's trying to say is...
they don't have to have that.
Yeah, you do. Stargate needs 2 portals. You need the little suit and the wristband in order to travel back through the quantum
The suit
gates.
makes it so you don't die.
Yes.
The wristband is the GPS that helps you get where you're going. The Pym particle makes you shrink.
Yes.
The machine was needed for time travel.
You can't just summon something from the future or the past and say, come on, let's go.
Well, you actually...
Travel in time.
You actually can. You want to know why?
Why?
Because they can do whatever they want, because this is nonsense made up
And
things.
here's what I kind of love about it is they took so long to explain it, and then it gets dumb. Like for me, it's like fuzzy science, for example, and I love that these movies do it, but whenever Tony Stark creates something in any of the movies, Iron Man 2, he's like, oh, yeah, here's another chemical, right?
A new element.
New element. In Age of Ultron, he's like, oh, here's a super robot that controls the internet, but is really just a robot. In this movie, he goes, invent time travel. You have invented time travel.
No.
And I was like, no. It happens that
he didn't invent time travel.
Oh, I just invented a time machine.
No, he didn't invent time travel. He invented a way to navigate through the quantum realm to do time travel.
That is technically true. But he
goes, throw the science in the science machine. You've invented time travel. Like it is.
But I was okay with that because that is totally comic booky to be like, and I don't, like I said, I don't need to know the science. I just need to know it works. So
Honestly,
he's like,
they should,
Mobius strip.
I thought they
Boom.
should have made him work a little bit more for it.
When you offend Back to the Future and every other time travel movie that actually goes out of their way,
That was hilarious.
Goes out of their way to explain time travel in their movies, this movie has almost no rules.
I was actually
And
worried.
You got to admit that.
No,
the rules are
no.
broken.
No, because I was worried when they started saying, Back to the Future is bullcrap. And they started saying that because I was like, no, you can't just say it doesn't affect, the past doesn't affect the future. But what they were doing was multiverse, and it made perfect sense where it's like, yeah, well, you'll fraction it here, and then it will be a different timeline. And your timeline will be the same, but other timelines will change.
Yeah.
So that's multiverse. That's perfectly
So
acceptable.
they're screwing other timelines. They're screwing the characters.
Well, they
of
are,
other
unless they bring
timelines.
the stones back to those timelines.
No, that's too convenient. And I know that's very Marvel.
It's Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted, obviously.
They're like, we got to move the keys here.
Okay,
the keys are here.
This movie has the logic of Bill and Ted. Can we say that? Like a logic of 1989
They do play
stoner
I mean,
movie.
it's,
They play the
it's
time
just,
travel
It's
game.
just time travel. Yeah, I mean, you have to pick
Wibbly-wobbly,
one-
timey-wimey.
Yeah, you
It
have
really
to
is.
pick one of them, and
If you're gonna get after
Avengers,
you got to get after Doctor Who.
Oh, I totally will.
How dare you?
I totally will.
Get out.
It's like you can affect things where you want, but not affect things where you can't.
Well, and one of the things I really liked regarding time travel was the dilemma of Tony Stark's daughter, where Tony has a daughter.
That was a softball for me.
But
that was such a softball.
But
Why
it's
is that a
thing where-
softball?
They could have gone really dramatic with that, where
They could have,
Tony
but
had to
if
make
they-
the
Oh,
choice.
yeah.
And here's what they
No,
said.
they did. They pulled back hard on that, honestly.
No, what do you mean pulled back?
No, they could have got way dark with that.
He could have made the choice between his daughter existing.
Yeah, which is what I thought they were going to do.
Because if he travels back in time and messes with stuff, it would change
Well, they
his
wrote
daughter.
like 10 different endings of this
here's
thing.
the
That's
thing.
probably what happened to
This
one of
movie
them.
had almost no paradox. There needs to be a threat to time travel. We spent way too much time on time travel.
We
But
have.
so did this movie.
No, but
there needs to be a paradox and a threat to it. But they just go, "Hey, dust my hands. Time travel's cool."
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In About Time, a movie you love,
Yes, watched it last night actually.
they go into a closet and close their fist to time travel.
Yes.
And you're getting after them for time travel issues in this movie.
I'm getting after it because you say this logic is sound.
I'm saying the logic. It's not the time travel isn't
Because
the
it's
point.
not sound and they don't
No, time
explain
travel
it.
isn't the point. It's the vehicle. Just like About Time, it's not the point of the movie. It's the vehicle to get the story going.
And I will say it follows its rules in that movie, except for one time when he goes back to visit his dad when he's a kid.
in About Time.
In About Time.
But if they don't change anything,
But the thing is, they follow the rules because you can't go back to before
my
your
gosh.
baby was born.
There is no work of fiction.
Can we talk about Time
There is
for an
no
hour instead?
work of fiction where you can't look at the time travel and be like, wait, but what
True.
about this?
Jacob's true.
Like that.
Jacob
just-
is true.
I know that Jacob is true.
Hashtag. So like that's just what happens every single time. It's easy to pick apart because it can't happen.
Jacob, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
So in the movie, so at the very beginning, they're kind of just trying to see what they can do. Then they kill Thanos, and then it not really time jumps like a time machine. Like 5 years pass.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
5 years
Yeah.
later, and the world is, I mean, half the population has disappeared of the world.
And it's all
half the living
somber
things.
and stuff. Yeah.
Do you feel like the world would have bounced back a little more in 5 years? Like when it shows,
Or do you feel like we've
the
let
Mets,
everything go to
the
pot?
New York Mets parking lot. There's still like empty cars all over the parking lot.
So that's a great question, actually. I think it's yes and no. 5 years might be a little soon for them to bounce back. Like, because I think at this point it was like, okay, I guess we can stand up again, but they weren't like thriving again. I think that would take like maybe 10
but
years.
I think that's the thing is like I understand that certain areas, like when Scott is wheeling his wagon through the neighborhood and it's in disarray. I'm sure there's parts of America that would still be in disarray. But then when it showed the Mets parking lot with all the cars, I'm like, someone would have cleaned that up by now. Like,
yeah.
Like it seems like there would be some enterprising person who'd be like, I'm gonna do car cleanup for my job.
It's really a question of would humankind succeed? Would they prevail? Would they unite after a great tragedy? And how long would it take them? I think this movie was a little dark about it. In fact, Thanos was like, it's kind of weird that his plan and also Ultron's plan was, hey, we want humanity to be okay. We just want to destroy most of you or half of you. And then Thanos at the end says, well, humans suck and they really fell apart. So I want to destroy everyone and create a new civilization and be God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he has to go darker because it's always, you know what they did do though, is they spent money on a memorial park.
They did.
Right. And so that was all clean and pretty and everything. So
Which
it's
makes
like,
perfect sense.
So, I mean, when you look at the stadium, maybe it's just like a shift of focus.
Did it seem a little small for
priorities
Millennial
could have
Park?
shifted.
Yeah.
But it seems like some person's been wanting to be on the Mets for a long time, suddenly has an opportunity because half the team's gone. It's like, oh, I could be a Met now.
Yeah, there are people that have always wanted
crazy.
that are good enough to do jobs, to be on teams.
We need some, diversion.
It really seemed like 1% of the population still existed because it was just ghost towns, garbage was everywhere.
Well,
Charlton Heston was killing zombies.
It was not the Omega Man.
Yeah.
I feel like that we were getting just kind of a glimpse of parts of it, but I think that the nation was doing
they wanted it to be somber and they wanted to show us that it was dark.
But here's, Jake, I want you to picture the scenario, okay?
All right.
So half the population disappears. You're left behind.
Okay.
And you decide that you need to get a new job because, your job, half the students have died. And so you got to go to another school.
Okay.
And so then you move jobs and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to a house. No one's in this house. I'm just going to move in here. And you're there happy, building a family for 5 years. And all of a sudden the real owners show up. Boom. Hey, this is our house.
Also,
That's a
funny
little
point.
awkward, right?
That's super
Also,
awkward.
these things I've been thinking about for the past few days, not about the movie, but about what would happen to everyone in 5 years. For example,
You guys have gone a weird direction with this review.
We've had some time
Jake,
to talk
let's
about
say your wife disappears.
Oh,
It's been
okay.
4 years. You fall in love again. You
move
get
on.
remarried. All of a sudden, boom, she's back. What do you do? This is Desert Island situation.
It won't
stuff.
happen. I'm not going to wait 2 months with the girl in the desert
This is
island.
5 years, though.
We can go back to that show and get your answer. If you'd like.
No, but
I don't remember.
I mean, it's fun to think about these different type of things, and it's fun to pull the strings on it. But really, I thought they did a good job of kind of making the story work and
Yes.
advancing it because that was a turn I didn't expect. Of like, I thought they were going to go right into the battle, and they did. So then they killed Thanos, and I was like, what?
So I want to talk a little bit about the ending of the movie because we talked so much about the first 2 hours, which is time travel. There was a great moment, just a poster-worthy moment where Captain America is standing alone on one side of the battlefield, and we have the army of Thanos on the other side. I thought that was so cool. In fact, they took the shot away too quick. I'm like, this is
They
like
did that a lot, though, honestly. They
I'm
didn't linger on much.
Dwell there and give me that movie poster. But then I also thought right after that, they kind of had some missed opportunities where they could have thrown in so many Easter eggs from the Marvel Universe and maybe even shown like the Defenders from Netflix or whatnot, or just any surprises.
Just someone in there. They could
Because they just showed like everyone from Wakanda and the magicians and whatnot.
There were Easter eggs, but there were no surprises.
No surprises. There were cameos. And why would Natalie Portman be in this movie again?
No, because
I was surprised. I was like,
'Cause
wow,
she
they got
hate-
Natalie Portman.
She
back?
hated those movies.
No, it's because it makes the world feel more rounded, more real.
Well, it does, but like she literally
have their own
woke up
lives.
and turned around.
Is it?
And that was her scene.
$5 million.
And it was nice to see her.
It was because it makes it feel real. I actually really liked the revisitation of these old movies. Like they did Thor: The Dark World and the Avengers. What else did they revisit? Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like I loved seeing that from a different angle. Like I loved in Back to the Future too, when Marty is climbing up on the stage and he looks down and sees himself. Like that was a fun, corny way of doing it.
Right.
This didn't feel corny to me. It kind of felt like it was the victory lap, but it was like this makes sense in the story they're telling.
Yes. So can I go back to, and I feel like I'm the only one being negative here because I feel like I have to be because it's Bacon Cell. But I
we
really
just spent a while talking about how Thanos' ship shouldn't come back.
I know.
So.
You guys have hardly talked about the movie, honestly.
I honestly think the Professor Hulk thing was really quite terrible. I like that he kind of got control of both sides.
Well, why didn't you like that? Doesn't
Why
that
have
seem-
the Hulk? He literally didn't do anything great or grand.
What are you talking about?
This is the Incredible Hulk. He did sciencey stuff.
Yeah, and he wore the gauntlet so that
He wore the gauntlet. That was his point in the movie, I suppose.
That wasn't grand enough for you? He
You're
did the
saying-
snap that
wait,
brought everyone
So,
back.
Jake, the Hulk smashes.
What
I don't
you're
know if you've seen
saying,
this.
what you're saying is that he could have been Bruce Banner the whole time and then turned into Hulk to use the glove
Or yeah.
for how much they used him as the Hulk.
And maybe this was to answer for how they didn't show the Hulk at all in Infinity War, and they're like, "Oh, this happened."
Honestly, I thought it was a natural, interesting,
Progression of the
dynamic
character?
progression of the character. Exactly, yeah. Because it's like we don't want just the scientist, which is what we
Professor-
had. We don't want just the Hulk because
Professor
we've
Hulk.
seen that.
Okay,
But
but
Professor Hulk is in the comics. We know that.
Yeah.
it is. But there's something about the Hulk where it's a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, and there is kind of the
But they
ruination
took,
of the character.
They took that away in Avengers when he's like, "I'm always
I know.
angry and I can turn
that's
to Hulk
really
whenever
that's
I
really
want."
my gripe. And now it just has become CG Mark Ruffalo, a weird looking Mark Ruffalo, where I'm like,
But
here's-
he's a smart beast, basically.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
He's
Well,
Beast.
Beast is smart too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But also, I feel like, so yes, it kind of like back in Avengers when he's like, "You can turn into the Hulk anytime." It did
Yeah,
kind of ruin the
I'm always
Jekyll and
angry,
Hyde
yada,
thing.
yada,
Yeah,
yada.
that was kind of how they played it. But at the same time, it also puts him that much closer that if he gets angry, he could lose focus, and so maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Then he turns into Mega Hulk. Well, he's still around, so
Yeah.
we're probably going to see more of him.
So let's talk about the death since we haven't talked about any spoilers.
We did talk about a couple, but yeah.
We talked about the cat.
Well, before we
the
get into
opening
that,
was great, right?
it's great.
I'm suddenly like, oh wait, the movie's playing. Like there was no credits, there was no nothing. It's just suddenly
yeah.
I'm there with Hawkeye.
and
Clint
honestly,
Barton-
Jeremy Renner's he's a good actor.
that
He is.
moment when his family disappears and he's running around, I felt it. Like in
Yeah,
my heart,
yeah.
I'm like, that would be awful to have your family just suddenly be
Absolutely.
gone in dust.
I wish we'd gone more into that because I felt like when Natasha or Black Widow found him and he was killing all those the Yakuza or whatnot,
Yeah.
she kind of just grabbed his hand and he said, "Okay, let's go." But I'm like, "No, give me more of that. I
That's
want to
what he
see
did.
him go
Yeah,
and
she did the
nuts."
same thing with Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, sun's getting real low, big guy.
That's what she does.
Yeah,
She should have said that.
You know, but speaking of which, so this felt like very comic booky to me. But you know what one of my favorite moments was as a video game lover was Captain America versus Captain America.
Oh, yeah,
it felt
yeah.
like when you choose a video game and you both pick the same characters, you both like them.
I rolled my eyes a little bit, and then I was like, this is kind of fun. Actually,
It's so fun, especially when
Yeah.
it's like I could do this all day. He's like, I know. I just really got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed that aspect of it. I enjoyed them going back. I enjoyed seeing kind of how they were able to pit heroes and villains against each other in that way and seeing a different angle.
Right.
But, which, by the way, where did Loki go? He gets the Tesseract, gets the Space Stone, and he's out of there. And I'm like, how are they going to get the stone back in that timeline?
Well, if we're going with your multiverse theory
Because
on
Loki's
this,
still around.
He's going to be somewhere else. I mean, it's just a new multiverse. It's a new story or
Which,
whatnot.
by the way, and I say this only because we just brought him up, is Loki's dead.
Yeah, he's straight up dead.
He's
Not
dead.
now.
No, he is in their timeline. Like I thought, maybe like there was theories that he was the Hulk.
He's taking the Tesseract. He can.
No, and that's
Actually-
that's the other timeline.
Joel?
In their timeline, he died on Thanos'
Actually-
on the ship.
Question for you guys: is anyone really dead? Because even the characters that died or have aged out of the Avengers,
Right.
Well, Cap could be back if they
couldn't
wanted
you
to.
just do time travel and get him back?
No. When you have time travel into the mix, anything can happen.
It
Totally.
could, but I think that they're done. I think that actors are kind of like, we're good.
You think? Okay,
okay.
straight up. You think if Robert Downey Jr. was being paid $150 million to appear in 4 years in Avengers 5, you don't think he would do it?
I don't
might.
think so.
He might.
I think he's one of those actors
I
like,
totally think
I
he
did
might.
that. I conquered it. I'm done.
I mean,
He's been in 9 movies.
who cares about money though?
A lot of
He
movies.
got a lot
does.
of money.
He cares about money.
He's got so
he
much.
probably makes 20% of the gross
He
of this
answered
movie.
phone calls in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He cares about money.
Okay, but here's my question then. So Loki dead, Iron Man
Original
dead,
Gamora dead.
Original Gamora dead, Black Widow dead.
Yeah.
but she has a movie coming out in 2020.
I was sitting there. I was like, doesn't she have a movie? I thought she had a movie.
Honestly, one of the better parts of the movie for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Their trade.
for sure.
Jacob. I asked Kent this. We did.
Wait, you guys talked a lot about this movie.
We talked.
Here's what we
talked
said.
in
We said
facts.
fact, not opinion.
We're like, this is fact, not opinion. That's why we were able to talk about like the Thanos thing. I'm like, I honestly can't remember. In that moment when Hawkeye and Black Widow are about to get the Soul Stone, did you know which one was going to end up dying?
No.
Because-
I assumed it was Hawkeye.
I kept going back and forth. I'm like, well, she doesn't have a family, but he's
so
done a lot
dark.
of bad.
Yeah.
You know, with kind of. By the way, Black Widow's hair, not a fan of in this one where it was like,
Way better than Infinity War.
no, the fire and
Really?
ice thing did not work. For
No,
me.
she.
It worked
I mean,
for me.
she was being bedraggled and like worn down, and it worked
new
for
word.
me.
Yeah. But anyway,
Bedraggled.
when Black Widow
Bedraggled, look it
when
up.
Black Widow finally ate it, I was like,
Let's say ate it. That was almost 2
That's
days
way
of martyr.
cold. Yeah, when she sacrificed herself.
She finally kicked the bucket
to save the universe.
No, I thought that was a great moment between the two of them. Like you felt the emotional connection between the two of them.
It was cool.
I really liked that, and I didn't know which way it was going to go.
It was one of the better parts.
I really enjoyed that part. Although I was
Honestly,
like,
she was the best death.
I was like, what? Yeah, I was going to say, what happens if they just sent one person to that timeline?
You know what the problem is with this, though? Is it was supposed to be a sacrifice of something you love, and they're both just fighting each other to commit suicide.
But that's
so
why
there's
I
no
think
sacrifice going on there.
No, but that's why I think they had to let go. Part,
Yeah, there
'cause he
needs
had
to be
let
the actual
go.
touch.
Like he had to actually let her go because he was tethered on.
Yes.
Because I thought about the same thing. I'm like, it's not a sacrifice if they just jump off.
Yeah.
But then he had to let go of her. And I was
Totally.
like,
But
oh.
her movie is going to be a prequel anyways. I think it takes place late 90s, early 2000s.
Starring
But
Emily
still-
Blunt.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. By the way, Jacob, what did you think of Fat Thor?
You know what? I rolled my eyes at first, and then he really grew on me, so to speak. I mean, it was like I was like, you know what? I'm glad they did this. I'm glad they did this, and I'm you know why I'm glad is because I thought later they're going to be like he grabs lightning, and then suddenly he's like got all his abs back.
That's
and
what I
he's
thought.
slapping
I
him.
was worried about that.
And then they never did.
No, he was fat the entire time.
The entire time, even his outro and his little intro to the Guardians, I was like, okay.
By the way, why
Okay,
can't
hold on.
Thor be king? What did Valkyrie do to earn being king?
Well, Joel,
Nothing
let's
but
talk
king
about...
over like 100 peasants.
No,
Like,
straight up. I'll be the one to say it. These movies pander because they haven't done a good job in 10 years up until Captain Marvel of giving a diverse opinion.
For females.
Yes,
you mean.
and so now they are pandering in a big way. And
Well,
this was
Jacob, did
one
you
of
see
two
the-
ways to do that.
Did you see the big pandering to the female audience moment?
Oh, you mean when they all gathered up and started fighting?
When all the
Spider-Man said, "I
when all the
can't do it."
females,
Well, that
No
happened
one
in
can do
Infinity
this.
War,
but
too.
I mean, all the females from all across the battlefield somehow end up all together to run together in one big pan shot, and then
Also-
Captain Marvel just blasted her anyway. Like she didn't need any of them
Yeah.
to do anything.
By the way, Iron Pepper. Iron.
I didn't even recognize her. She like showed her face. I was like, who the heck is
Do you
that?
know why? Because she's not necessary.
but
That
it's
was
still
so-
she
and
becomes.
plus she's supposed to have she's supposed to have like fire superpowers and stuff
you
from
didn't-
Iron
you
Man
didn't
3.
hear those final 3 sentences of Iron Man 3. He got rid of that. It's fine.
Yeah, they were able to get the.
I got the shrapnel out of my heart, and Pepper's fine. That was the end of that movie.
Yeah, they kind of.
It's really bad.
But no, I feel like that made perfect sense. Though that if Pepper knew that Tony was in danger, she would get in a suit because he mentioned earlier he made a suit for her.
Okay, then
So-
I guess that's justified.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, the Tony's death was handled very well. It was nice to see the reunion of he and Peter Parker.
That one didn't connect for me. Not
didn't?
the reunion did. His death really didn't.
Really? You didn't like the I Am Iron Man?
It was so
Oh, that
no.
was
That
good.
part was good.
That was
I Am
good.
Iron Man
That
was
was real
good. I
good.
was like, oh, nice tie back. But when he's sitting
I was
there,
so worried there was going to be some cheesy, corny line. I don't know what, but
Well,
I
what would
remember-
have been other than that, though?
I don't know.
That was, yeah.
it surprised
Unbelievable.
me. I was like, oh, perfect choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, it's afterwards when he's sitting there and Peter Parker's like, oh no, Tony, I love you. You know.
Also, do you have to snap? Like, does everyone, like, I'm sure there's something else I can do with this.
I know.
maybe
Why
it
is
was
it the finger snap? Right.
They're like
But
four
we're like, we
snaps
don't know
in
what
this
else to
movie.
do.
But
I guess we
that's
snap our fingers.
That's the thing Thanos says, which it is weird that like the glove can do anything except for it can't. Like he says, I tried to bring her back and I couldn't, and I'm like, why
Well,
not?
they had discussed that it was some sort of paradox because in order to have the stone, you had to have a commitment to that sacrifice, the Soul Stone.
Okay,
And so that one
well,
was undoable.
okay. That makes sense, I guess. But like Loki or maybe
Yeah, you could, like who would bring Loki
So
back?
we're going on a bit long, but how do you feel
we
about
are.
the extended ending of Captain America? So he travels to put the stones back, and then he obviously stays in the past.
Does Thor have to take his hammer back too, or is that Thor in that timeline not going
Well,
to have a
from
hammer?
what
Yeah, no, the hammer has just disappeared.
No, from what you said,
goes-
it is created a multiverse where Thor doesn't have a hammer.
But if they bring back the stone, do they take back
No,
the
right?
hammer?
When he takes the hammer, I'm like, dude, you're taking the hammer from yourself?
yourself,
Like, that's
yeah.
pretty messed up.
See, that's why I don't think it's
by the way,
multiverse. It's just bad
which,
writing.
By the way, one of my favorite moments in the entire movie was when Captain America finally wielded that hammer. I was
great.
like, yes!
Yeah, it's great. I think that got the biggest cheers.
And then
That was
Fat Thor
amazing.
was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had so many cheers in my audience.
So here's my problem with the Captain America send off. Like, it makes sense that he got old because it is that way in the comics, right?
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's a little weird that he hooked up with Agent Carter.
What do you mean weird? That's
because she has a great granddaughter that he hooked up with in Captain America: Winter Soldier. That may have been his own great granddaughter. I'm just going to put that out there.
Whoa!
Think about it.
He didn't hook up with anybody in Winter Soldier.
Sharon Carter. He made out with her after Peggy's funeral.
But that wasn't that timeline. A different timeline.
It was because the past is the future is the past.
No, it's multiverse. He created a new branch when he went.
It was his movie. It was
This is
his
true. This is
movie.
multiverse. This is multiverse.
New
You can't
branch
say
of time.
I'm the one that loves multiverse.
What happened to
That's
her
not
anyway?
multiverse.
Peggy
Who
Carter?
cares? Anyways,
The granddaughter.
here's the thing. His whole series was about the Winter Soldier. It was about Bucky and their friendship, which is a little too close for my liking. But he disregards Bucky when he sees him again. It's kind of
That was a little weird. They didn't get their final reunion.
And I know they're trying to like promote the Falcon to be the next Captain America, which up until 3 years ago he was Captain America. But Bucky was actually the first runner-up for Captain America. When Captain America
he probably
was killed.
should have been.
Even though, like, you know, he's the Red Soldier or whatever. But I was kind of like, no one cares about Sam or whatever his name is.
Falcon?
The Falcon. Nobody likes that
I don't know
guy.
his name.
So I was a little disappointed that actually ended the movie. And then, of course, it did like the sweet
It was a
moment.
kiss at the end. But I think that part
Yes.
of them going back and doing the Stones and Captain America somehow not appearing on the time
Should that
travel
have been a
thing,
stinger?
That should have been a stinger.
Totally
a
agree.
mid-credit stinger.
Yeah.
I think, because then the story
That's
ended
true.
with Tony's funeral.
Yeah.
It's very emotional. That got me so bad, Ken. You have no idea how
It did?
bad I was fighting back tears
You're
during
so
Tony's
sweet.
funeral. As it was panning around everyone, I was like, oh, I love all these people.
And I believe the kid was the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, near the end, there was a kid
he was,
standing
like,
in the back
coaching.
by the
Yeah.
shield people, which I was like, who's that? But
Oh, the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, to help him
Okay.
through the PTSD.
a little random, but
Yeah.
still enjoyable.
It's
to
a good
see that little
throwback.
victory lap.
Like you said, victory lap, yeah.
Joel, I'm happy to sort of commiserate with you a little bit here. I have a headache right now. Mm-hmm. You want to know why?
Why's that?
Because I fought back tears a bunch of times. Like I started getting emotional, and I'm like, I am not crying during Endgame. I'm not doing it. Like I will not do it. And so like I would I kind of like flex my eyes, like no, don't
Flexed your
stop,
eyes.
stop.
Full confession, fellas. I'm trying not to cry. Well, I've tried not to cry a couple times during this episode.
Are you serious?
This bacon bit.
Now, you know
so
what? Even
sweet.
when
Talking about these
even when it
things.
was stuff that was like telegraphed, and I'm like, "Yep, here it comes, here it comes." Jeez, it still kind of got me. Okay, let's not. Nope.
Emotionally-
you resist this.
Emotionally, it was well done that way.
I have a headache. I genuinely have a headache.
You drink
Oh, you
water.
guys, I'll
From
give you a
resisting
hug
it.
after this show.
I need one,
You guys are
actually.
tender.
Just give them some Chipotle peanuts.
Those
They'll
are
be
tasty.
happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, we've covered this to death.
Yes,
and
this is
we're
a-
No,
movie,
I have another
45
thing.
minute
I have another
bacon
thing.
bit. Okay.
I have a complaint.
Yes.
that I need to bring up. Captain Marvel's haircut was so
But it's comic
freaking
booky.
distracting.
It's
to
comic
me.
booky.
It was like it was taking away from what was happening in the movie. It was like suddenly she had like a mohawk that was purple, and it was like, hey, look at this, look at this, look at this, as opposed
if
to
I-
the
Probably wondering why I
story.
have a red arm.
If I may,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It was that exactly.
It's,
If,
well, no, it is. It's to sell more toys.
if I may explain, so Captain Marvel's, Miss Marvel has been around forever, and then in the past 10 years, they made her Captain Marvel, and in the past 5 years, when it's become a lot more social justice warrior heavy, she's got a haircut to be a little more masculine. And so they tried to match the current trend of the comic books. And so, yes,
Which
Brie
makes sense.
Larson,
And I figured-
definitely that direction.
I figured it was
with the
something
short
like that,
haircut.
but
I was worried. I want to say this. I was worried they were going to overuse Captain Marvel as like the end all and be all solution. They didn't. She came and went. She did a little bit here and there.
Well, but
overall,
it also is kind of a problem too, because she is an end all be all solution apparently.
Yeah.
yeah.
But no, for me, and I mean,
But she's
honestly,
too busy going out to space.
The haircut,
she's like, there are other
She's like,
planets that
nope,
need
I
my
got to be
help.
in space. I got to be
She
in
pulled-
space.
they
Can't
pulled
help
a
you.
pooch-
I got to be in space.
They pulled a poochie on her, which was amazing.
My planet
Poochie?
needs me.
My planet needs me.
Simpsons reference of the dog that suddenly just goes away because people don't like
Captain
her.
Marvel is Poochie. and I love this movie for it because really focus on the original Avengers. That's why I liked it so much.
And they did.
Infinity
They did,
War was
yeah.
so cluttered that there was no story. This one, it brought it all back, which is great.
You know, some of the scenes and some of the humor and dynamics in Infinity War were better for me. Like Thor on the ship, in the Infinity. You know, when I say Infinity War, it feels like I need to be talking about both of them because that's basically what it is. But
Yeah.
anyway, but Thor on the ship, a few other scenes, because I just rewatched this recently and I was like, man, this crap is like landing. And there wasn't any humor, which maybe is why you like it a little bit more, Ken,
Yeah.
is it was humor light.
Yes.
But
The jokes in that movie were all about nicknames.
yeah.
We're going to say your name wrong. Ha
Yeah, it was just like...
Wait, in Endgame or in Infinity War?
Infinity War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, one more thing on the haircut. It was fine.
We're back to the haircut.
It was fine, but no, I feel like it was really distracting from what was going on, and so
Look,
it felt unforgivable
Jeremy
to
Renner
me that they.
gave her good recommendation for a barber.
I know, right?
She went.
Oh, man, when Clint got to call his wife again, that got me too.
His was a little distracting too, but it was less dramatic than hers. Hers was so dramatic.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially as you see her earlier in the movie with a, like, when does she have
that's the
time to
trouble.
go get a haircut?
They're changing her haircut in the middle of the movie. If
Yeah.
she had started with that haircut, then it would make
Keep
sense.
in
It'd be
mind,
like,
though,
oh, this is how
they
she
changed
looks.
her suit color during her movie.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Because
she
the little
filmed-
girl put some buttons on her sleeve.
As I understand, she filmed this one before her movie.
Yeah, she filmed Avengers Endgame before her movie, and not only that, I found this out today that she actually the stinger at the end of Captain Marvel when she meets the Avengers, she wasn't in the room with them. It was green screen.
That's
so weird.
And
Yeah.
so she just walked in and was like, "Where's Nick Fury?" Cut. Good. Okay, roll it. And then they put her in the movie with the other people, so she had no idea they were there.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost like she was trying to act, but it's hard to act.
Was it
against green
Jimmy
screen.
Fallon interview? Is that what that was?
I heard it from someone who watched Jimmy Fallon interview.
Yeah,
But
that's what
I don't tweet out things from Jimmy Fallon interviews anymore.
Oh, too soon. Anyways, that's our you've probably seen it by now, but I hope you listen. And if you listen to both parts, great. Let us know if you agree or disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually we say go see it or not, but in this case, I think we kind of assume
we're all saying go see it.
But
everyone's going to see it.
Unless
yeah.
the Marvel movies haven't been your thing, because if you watch this one and if you haven't watched the other ones, you're not going to get a lot
I
of
didn't
it.
care for Infinity War, and I think this is much better.
Yeah?
Yeah,
But you don't like Marvel in general.
that's true. But so
Since
I like this
when?
one. I know, right?
Thank you for
We'll
listening,
get there.
though. We hope you enjoyed the movie. We hope you enjoyed this Bacon Bit. Go see this one. It's a lot of fun. So this has been Bacon Sale.
I don't know if it was fun.
Captain Marvel is Poochie.